Welcome to the seventh lecture. This one is on including students with autism in the general education environment. So first, let's talk about what some of the benefits for inclusion are, because when we think about inclusion, we want to think about it as being beneficial for all involved. And inclusion is beneficial for everyone involved. For students with autism, it gives them a place to practice and learn social skills and to develop friendships. And it also gives them the opportunity to have exposure to the general ed curriculum. There's definitely some clear research that shows that students with special needs get more of the general ed curriculum if they are in a general education environment rather than if they are in a special education environment where the curriculum is being brought in. So it really is important not only for social reasons but also for academic growth as well, for students to be included in the general education environment. General education students benefit as well. Not only do they learn about differences and they develop tolerances, and not just for individuals with disability, but it enables them to be tolerant and understand all differences of all cultures. And it also gives them a chance to improve their skills in learning through peer tutoring opportunities that may come up as part of inclusion. When you want to begin an inclusion in your school or increase the amount of inclusion that's happening in your school, it's really important that you work to facilitate school acceptance of that inclusion. Um, Classroom placement can be really important. So you want to make sure that when you're including students that you choose the classroom carefully. You want to match students to classrooms and to teachers. Um, the other thing that you want to make sure that you do is that you think about ratios and that you keep natural proportions, so that you probably don't want to ever put more than two students with disabilities or autism in an age appropriate classroom. So you want to kind of share the wealth of the students that you have, so that you're not putting all the students in one classroom. You want to be spreading them across their age grade classroom in the school. So if there's three third grade classrooms, utilize all three third grade classrooms so that the students can be placed in ratios that are more representative of how disabilities occur in the population. And it also facilitates peer acceptance and peer assistance. Um, Conducting school-wide ability awareness training can be very helpful. There are some actual commercially available kits that allow you to do that. And there's a lot of information. It's something that is more and more commonly done now, and it can really help other students and peers understand ability awareness. It can also help teachers and administrators to get a better understanding of ability and awareness. Usually, when we see resistance for inclusion from general education teachers, it's because of a fear of the unknown. They don't know what to expect, they don't know what their responsibilities will be. And so, by conducting ability awareness, it helps to gain that understanding and acceptance and make it easier to facilitate inclusion. You really want to think about your modeling. Students and teachers are going to look to you as a model for how to interact and treat these students. So it's really important to make sure that the way that you behave and the way that you work with individuals is how you want their peers and other teachers to do so. So if you're treating them, um, if you're infantilizing them, particularly students who are lower functioning, who have more moderate severe range, um, you're going to find that everybody else does that as well. So you want to be very careful and clear about how you are interacting and treating your students. You want to collaborate and team with other students. You have to include yourself before you can include your students. If the other teachers and administrators and parents and PTA do not see you as part of the school, they're not going to see your students as part of the school either. So it's vital that you include yourself first. So even if faculty meetings don't seem appropriate to you because your students don't go there or don't do that, it's really important that you attend those faculty meetings and be seen as part of the school, because that will go a long way to enabling your students to be part of the school. One of the first things I always say to teachers of students with disabilities, you often see them eating lunch in their classrooms because there's a lot of paperwork, there's a lot to do. Um, for the sake of inclusion, go eat with your peers, go eat with the other teachers, because in the lunchroom you will find more opportunities for inclusion than you would have known, because the teachers will be talking about what they're doing in their classroom, field trips that they're going on, things that are happening. If you're there, you'll hear about it and you can get your kids and your students involved. If you're not there, you may not even know what happens until everybody's getting on the bus. Um, so it's really important that you develop relationships with the other teachers at your school and make sure that you are seen as part of the school so that your students can also be seen as part of the school. And then finally, another great thing to do is to develop peer programs, lunch programs, buddy programs, before school programs, after school programs, clubs, depending on what level you're teaching at elementary, middle, or high school. It may vary as to what you would do, but there's lots of great things that you can do for peer programs, and make your classroom an inviting place for everyone to be, so that not only with your students with disabilities and with autism will come, but also um, that their peers in the general ed environment feel like this is a really cool, fun place to hang out. So when you facilitate peer acceptance, you want to use inclusion where the students with autism are actually in general ed classrooms. But sometimes, if a school hasn't done that, and as you're building to that, you can begin by using reverse mainstreaming. So you can have kids from a general ed classroom come into your classroom and help out your students there. So start to build those peer relationships in your classroom, and then you can then move that peer into the general ed classroom with the peer friend that they've made. So that peer will actually be a great support for them in the general ed classrooms. Um, Environmental arrangement, help general ed teachers to create environments that support special needs. A lot of general ed teachers have a little bit of background, but not a lot of knowledge, and they really rely on your help and support to do this. So really give them help and empathize with um, fears that they may have. They may be afraid, what am I responsible for here? What is this kid going to do? How am I going to handle it? You have to really address those needs directly. Finally, within the general education environment, cooperative learning groups can be a great way to help include students with autism and other disabilities. So you definitely want to structure those learning groups to facilitate interaction and discussion and teach interpersonal, collaborative social skills and other small group skills. So provide direct instruction in those skills. So all of those things can go a long way to supporting the inclusion of your students with autism.